Ancient Egypt is one of the most well-known and was one of the most influential civilizations in the ancient world, and also probably something I should be talking about given my logo and my name and yeah. So here's the history of Egypt from prehistory up until the death of Cleopatra. So yeah, Egypt is like crazy old. I mean, so old that there were some small species of mammoths in northern Russia during the Old Kingdom. And I, honest to the gods, could never make the whole of the history of Egypt in just one video. So I decided to split this into two parts. How did I forget to put this into the script? Let's start at the beginning. From around 7000 BC, several cultures all across Egypt started settling on the Nile, right during the dawn of agriculture all across dank river valleys across the world. The Nile was certainly a river, and it had a valley area that was certainly dank enough for the fertile black soil that gave the area its original name, Kemet, or something similar to that. Kemet? Something like that. The Nile was central to all of Egypt since it effectively functioned as a kind of superhighway of the day, and cities even dug canals for further transport. However, the annual flooding of the Nile, though it could fertilize croplands if it was just at the right amount of flooding, could also destroy towns and villages if it floods too much, which it often did. This motivated many Egyptian kings to commission huge dam projects, including the dam built around the capital, Memphis, by Pharaoh Menes, or Narmer. Menes? Depends on who you ask. Yeah, let's alternate between the two to make it easier. So Menes was the king of Upper Egypt, which was actually situated in the south, but also at a higher elevation. This is also how it worked in Germany. And his claim to fame was as the man who united all of Egypt under one crown, or actually two crowns, but they united all the crowns. Literally, they just combined the crowns of Upper and Lower Egypt into one. The first two dynasties were from an era called the Archaic Period, from 3100 to 2686 BC, up until the start of the third dynasty, which began the Old Kingdom. The 26th century BC is when all the famous building projects in Giza went underway. Pharaohs didn't always bury themselves in pyramids, though around 80 were built over the course of the Old Kingdom. In the beginning, when a king died, it was barely more than, "Hey guys, I'm dead now, can you put some rocks on me?" Thanks. This was called a mastaba if you want to be formal about this. And then the king Djoser was buried in the famous step pyramid in Saqqara, which was basically an extra 5 mastabas. Not long after, this design was eventually changed into the pyramid design we are all familiar with today. In 2246 BC, 6-year-old Pepi II was crowned king and ruled for 94 years and died at the age of 100, said to have been the longest reign in history. It was so long in fact that when he died, Egypt just broke. This period of time from 2150 to 2040 BC was known as the First Intermediate Period. But did you try turning it off and back on again? Well, King Mentuhotep II must have did something similar because he reunited Egypt and started the Middle Kingdom, which lasted until 1640 BC when the Hyksos people from the Middle East overran the local leadership, and started the Second Intermediate Period, from 1640 to 1552 BC. The New Kingdom started in 1552 BC, and the Egyptian Empire effectively reached its territorial height under King Thutmose III in the 15th century BC, going way beyond the old core of Egypt. Just before Thutmose III, however, came King Hatshepsut, who was remarkable in ancient Egyptian history for actually being a woman, who originally was Thutmose III's co-ruler, as he was just a kid when his father, Thutmose II, died, and eventually she herself became a full-fledged king. She became king to get around gender barriers. In the 14th century BC came Akhenaten, who decided to update Egypt in an entirely new format, which no one really liked all that much, and so the devs eventually decided to remove the new features of the follow-up update, restoring the old order that people did like. Take notes, Egypt. From 1279 to 1224 BC was the reign of King Ramesses II, also known as Ramesses the Great, and he was pretty chill, I heard. He also expanded Egypt's military campaigns and built the famous temple at Abu Simbel, way in the south, which had to be relocated after, actually no, that's in part 2. What we truly think of as ancient Egypt technically ended with the end of the New Kingdom and the start of the Third Intermediate Period in 1085 BC. From 664 to 332 BC was the Late Period, which is around the time the Persian Empire finally conquered Egypt, effectively ending in independent Egypt. And later, Alexander the Great conquered the Persian Empire, and by extension Egypt, and founded the city of Alexandria, as well as Alexandria. And Alexandria, also Alexandria, and not to forget Alexandria. From 323 to 30 BC was the rule of the last dynasty of Egypt, known as the Ptolemies, who ruled Ptolemaic Egypt. Julius Caesar, or Julius Caesar, took great interest in Egypt and, befriended a certain Queen Cleopatra VII, and took back to Rome many things he liked from Egypt, like calendars and censuses. This was of course before 44 BC when he realized that those senators weren't preparing a salad for him. This Greek dynasty of Egypt lasted up until the year 30 BC, when Egypt became part of Rome, Cleopatra became dead, and this video became over. See you in part 2. Thanks for watching this video, and be sure to like, share, and come back for part 2. So I've been at VidCon this week, and after receiving a lot more people asking if I was Egyptian than in previous years, spoiler alert, no I'm not, I decided I should probably have at least one Egyptian history video on my channel. Anyways, be sure to subscribe to learn something new every Sunday.